Hi there, you're watching the Mechanical SLR Lounge, and today I have for you the Pentax ME. So this is a electronically controlled automatic exposure camera released in 1976, and it's a great little camera. Um, it's small, it's very lightweight. Um, it gives you access to the Pentax K-mount line of lenses. So that's also a plus, and they're honestly everywhere. These are not hard to find. There's the ME, the ME Super. I believe there's also a Super Program, some of which have manual exposure modes as well, but they all have a electronically controlled shutter. So, on top of the camera, you will find this dial here, which you can either set to lock in that position, auto exposure here. You can set to a shutter speed of 1/100th of a second, which you actually don't require batteries for. So in a pinch, if you run out of battery, you can set it to that and then adjust your aperture accordingly. And then you also have a bulb mode, which is also mechanically controlled. So when set to auto, on the display internally, it gives you a range of 8 seconds to 1,000th of a second, but actually it will expose for far longer in very low light conditions, which is quite cool. I'm not sure what the maximum exposure time is, but I know that it goes beyond 8 seconds. The ISO dial goes from 12 to 1600. You adjust that by lifting this ring and spinning, just like that. And then you do also have exposure compensation. So if you do not lift this ring and just spin it, then you can use your exposure compensation if you want to over or underexpose your shots. The film advance is super short. It's very nice to use. There's no hitches or anything, and then there is also a little window here to show that your film isn't in fact advancing properly. So when you advance that little, when you have film inserted, which I do not, that will kind of do a little wiggle back and forth, and that's an indicator that your camera's functioning correctly. So for metering, this uses a gallium photodiode, and I've found it to be extremely accurate. I compared it with my external light meter, the light meter app on my phone, and the light meters of my other cameras, and yeah, it's pretty much dead on. I ran a roll of film through this, the Nikon Pan 400. I actually love this film. It's super cheap, and I'm very happy with the results. So yeah, Nikon Pan 400. It's good stuff. It does also come equipped with a hot shoe, but it is a pretty bare bones camera, as this was the entry level of the Pentax ME series. On the bottom, you will find access to the motor drive mount here, and then the electric contact there. This right here is to rewind your film once your roll is done. That's a little mount if you want to put it on a tripod, and then battery door is right here. On the front, self-timer would usually be here. Mine is missing, but personally I think it looks better without the self-timer. Controversial opinion perhaps, but yeah, I think it looks better. Over here you have a flash sync port with a little cover, and then this right here is to detach your lens, which is super easy. The viewfinder in this camera is absolutely amazing. It's super bright, very clear. There's a series of LED lights on the left side that are what enable you to, there we go, that enable you to see what your shutter speed is based on your aperture. I would show you, but I don't think I'd be able to maneuver that during a video. Yeah, very bright, very clear. It's also just very large. It gives you a very large field of view. Excuse me. And yeah, really, I don't really have any complaints about this camera other than the fact that it doesn't really inspire me. And I think that's because it's automatic exposure. And I'm finding more and more that I like having full control over shutter speed, aperture. Yeah, I don't know. It's not that it's not fun to shoot with this camera. I just don't find it as exciting as other cameras that I own. But yeah, it's a great little camera. Just, I guess not for me. To open the back of the camera, you're going to lift up here, much like many other cameras of the era, like that. And you can see the glorious internals. So here you have the shutter, electronically controlled again. So cock it, pulls it up, click the button, and it automatically determines the shutter speed. So if I stop down the aperture to, let's say, f22, it will hold the exposure for far longer. So I'd say if you're kind of wanting to dip your toe into film photography or are intimidated by fully manual cameras, this would be a fantastic option. Again, very cheap, easy to find, access to great lenses. This lens, the 50mm 1.7 SMC Pentax M, I love this lens. It's super smooth to focus. It's very easy to focus. The images were tack sharp and very good detail. I didn't shoot any color, so I can't really speak to contrast too much, but the black and white that I shot had good contrast. And yeah, again, this is very often found on these cameras sold together. So yeah, it really is a great option. I think that about covers it. I'm trying to think if I've forgotten anything. Don't believe so. Yeah, I think that's about it for today. So yeah, if you're a beginner looking to get into film photography, the Pentax ME or ME Super Program, these are all fantastic entry-level cameras. And the benefit of going with the Super or the Super Program are, I believe they have manual exposure mode, so you could switch between automatic exposure and manual. So once you become more comfortable shooting with film, you could go over to full manual, so you have more control if you like. But yeah, Pentax ME. That's all I got for you. Take care.